I'm very interactive with a crowd, and kind of like that interaction, like where I would like, I had moments with like in that set, like where I would somebody would like reach out his hands, and I would take their hands, I would scream the lyrics with them, and like having that sort of like moments.
Welcome to Metaverse Degen. I'm Lion.
I'm Old Man Raptor, and we're in a parking lot. Think about that one, and we want to have one hell of a guest, and that is...
Who are you?
Hi.
Hi. Okay, now it's getting scary in this fucking parking lot. This is fucked up. Hi. And oh, shit.
Well, you see, just to kind of, we're on our way to the studio, and it just, the car kind of just broke down, so we might as well, because we're on a tight schedule, we might as well just need to record it in the parking lot. So here we are, I guess. Parking lot it is.
Get a studio.
Yeah, just now, just for context, I don't know. Fucking, I don't know.
Secondly, we still don't have your name.
Well, yes, hello. My name is Batz Project. I also go by, my name is Battle Cow. I go by Batz Project. It's my artist name, but yeah. Hi, how's it going? Thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
No, we appreciate it. And I know what happened. I forgot to put gas in the gas tank because I thought it said E was.
Yeah, shit.
Honestly, I would love to see you at your size put gas in a car to begin with. That sounds like a
motherfucker. You're not even gonna hit. You're not gonna reach the tire rim at this point. Respectfully.
Hey, you know how much grace you have to have from jumping from the medium where the pump was and try to get it in that hole the first shot. It's a bitch. It took me months.
You just throw it. You just fucking throw it in the gas can. I don't know.
I can imagine the video where Raptor tries to fill gas tank. It's just in this epic climbing adventure. You just see him climbing a smooth metal surface trying to get to the gas tank. Epic music. He's all winded, almost falls 3 times, and he finally gets to the top. You zoom, and he puts the gas nozzle in the tank, and you zoom out, and he's climbing the side of a car.
It's fucking beautiful.
Well,
okay, you smart ass. I got a better one for you. I got a ladder that I keep in the fucking underneath the bumper, okay? So I can climb the ladder and put the gas thing in. Yeah.
Well, before we get too distracted, Batz,
exactly, yes.
What are you known for? How'd you get started? What pulled you into VRchat?
Oh boy, that's a lot of questions.
Yes. Welcome to Lion's Nightmare.
Yeah, straight fucking fully automatic. So I started playing VRchat around 2017. I was pretty early in the party, and then I was playing for a period like before the fucking whole Uganda Knuckles craze, and I didn't get into DJing until like 2022, because then I made my first ever drunk purchase of a DJ controller, courtesy of a good friend of mine named Miss Stabby, and she kind of made me while I was absolutely shit faced. She made me consider purchasing a $500 gear that I still use to this day to DJ on. And I've been doing it now for 3 years, and I've been picking up music production on the side and have released music.
Oh wow!
Since then.
Wow, that sounds pretty nutty. So at what moment between starting to DJ and producing, what caused you to go from DJing to producing? I ask.
Well, I've wanted to do music for like. For context, I am a musician all my life. I've been doing music ever since I was like a kid. I've been playing drums since I was 5 years old, and I've become a multi-instrumentalist. Basically, I play guitar, I play bass, I play piano, I play a lot of instruments that I've learned over the years, courtesy of playing in several bands for many of years. And for a long time, the reason why I wanted to play in bands, and I played in all sorts of genres. I played in blues. I've played in a metal band. I've played in this weird like folk rock fusion band, which basically should not be a thing because it was basically there should be World War III in that fucking session room, because we've had basically like people from all around. It was like a band of like 13 people or something, some shit like that, and I was like the lead guitarist of that. And it basically it was like I have a lot of like music experience under my belt, and especially like in gigging and whatnot. And after a while, I kind of just got sick and tired of kind of just being stuck doing my own, like doing this shit with band members that didn't even want to make music, first of all, and people that just weren't really interested in taking this further, if you will. And after a while, I just kind of decided years ago, it's like, okay, I'm just gonna quit bands, and I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I want to do. And for a while, it was just, most of the time it was just guitar sessions. I was kind of learning how to be a guitar virtuoso, if you will, and I was basically doing a lot of like Fiverr stuff for a while, which didn't go very far. It didn't go very far, and I was doing a lot of Twitch streaming, like musical Twitch streaming, where I would just play songs on Twitch. And after a while, I kind of thought, like, this is like once I got into DJing, and once I kind of adopted the name Batz Project, I kind of was just like, hey, maybe I should give music production a shot, like EDM music production, which I've never done before. Most of the stuff that I've been doing has been mainly just, like live band stuff. And EDM production is quite different compared to, I guess, live music production, if you will.
Okay. So what got you started with music in general prior to VRchat, and how is what you were doing then different from what you're doing now?
So I come from a very musical family. My dad was very much of a metalhead. I was introduced very young into Slayer and Rammstein, and I was very much kind of getting introduced to that. And my mom at the time, she was a drummer, and she basically introduced me to drums as a whole. And she played in a band herself at the time, which doesn't exist anymore. This is like decades ago. And there was always like music going on for like there's always something musically going on in my household. And it was pretty much natural that I would pick up an instrument. And I would say my family has been quite supportive in those regards. At least majority of it have been very supportive in regards of me picking up music. And it is very different, because back then I didn't do, when I compare the old stuff that I used to do and with music production that I do now, is that, first of all, I was playing in a band, and our objective mainly was not to record. It was mainly just to get gigs. And I live in a very small town up in northern Sweden, and it is very difficult to kind of getting that to happen. So motivation for bands is really low, and you got to be pretty lucky in those regards. And I suppose, like, the difference is, simply put, is with my music production nowadays, is that it's a result of frustration, of like several years of frustration, not getting anywhere with things. And I just kind of was like, fuck it. Like, why should I be stuck in this endless loop where I would just keep doing these gigs, and that have sometimes been really soul-sucking, for lack of better terms. Like, there have been gigs in my life that I just didn't enjoy in the slightest, and it was like very just, it was very soulless, if you will, and there was no joy in it. And I kind of just like, the internet is a vast place. It is very hard to be a music producer, and like especially an established artist, because unlike back in the days where record labels mattered, they still matter to this day, but not to the same way as they used to. Most music producers, you kind of need to know how to do your own marketing. You have to do your own advertising. Kind of just do everything in regards of promotional stuff and everything that comes around with it. The side that usually record labels deal with. And I had to take some courses. I have like taken some courses in the past, and after some friendships have been made, I've joined a mentorship that I'm currently a part of. So it is something that has taken time and has like for me to develop as a producer and generally as an artist. So it's kind of like the difference between the old stuff and the new stuff mainly is it's the new stuff is the shit that I wanted to do, if that makes sense.
No.
And I basically decided I'll get rid of all of the limits, like basically everything that has been stopping me, whether it being the band members or it's been the scene.
So I got a question for him, Line, if I can. Okay, I asked this to everybody. If you've seen any of the videos, what's the weirdest thing you ever seen when you came into VR for the very first time?
That size says a lot.
That slices the whole pie, all the hell. Holy shit, you're not throwing it, you're just piling it up.
I've been playing this game for 8 fucking years. And I've seen some crazy shit. I don't know, man. What kind? Well, the question is like, what kind? Can I ask, like, what kind of like fucked up shit or funny shit or just hilarious
Whatever
shit?
you think's that stuck the most in your mind that you going, what?
Well, I'll give you a funny one. I'll give you a funny experience
works.
where I so back in the time, like around 2021, before I kind of did DJing and shit, I used to help. Like, well, I didn't run it at the time. I was just a member of it. I later took up the mantles of staff member in the later years. But I used to be part of a role-playing community called Shield, which is very... Shut the fuck up, phone. Which has been...
right there's a good one. Hey, fuck you, phone. I'll be with you in an hour. Leave me alone. Yeah, keep going. Sorry.
I forgot to turn off my phone, but any fucking way. I used to. So Shield used to be a role playing community that I used to be part of. It's kind of like the LPD, but it's basically just like a sheriff's department instead, which is the whole theme, and it's a lot smaller. I don't know what it's doing now. I've left it like over a year ago because I wanted to focus on my own stuff because it's just I didn't have time to run as a staff member in that. But we once ran into the Japan Shrine, and there was a group of monkeys, like just group of fucking monkeys, literally going absolute ape mode and just been screaming. It's like, when I say like a group of monkeys, I mean like 5 or 10 of them, and there was like a bunch of like fucking screen effects, and it was like chaotic as shit, and like the monkeys went so hard, for lack of a better term, that they crashed for the first time ever. They didn't crash my VR chat, but they crashed my fucking Steam VR in its entirety. So, and I still cannot explain to this day. This has never happened since then. Nobody has crashed my fucking Steam VR to this day, and that is not a challenge. But I have no idea how that was done, and it was probably the funniest shit, I guess. I have seen over the years a lot of like fucked up shit over the years, and it's some stuff that I've basically seen everything in the books that is just disturbing and that's known to exist in VR, and I don't let it really like affect me in ways because I know it's not something that I do want to kind of base my experience of a VR chat on, especially after 8 fucking years.
Gotcha.
So what was your first instance in the DJ scene like, and what was your first set, and what about it made you want to continue?
My first set, I wanted to never do it again.
Oh my God.
My first instance, well, I can tell you about the first time I went raving, and that was a club in 2020, late 2020 or early 2021, called BB Club. It doesn't exist anymore, but it was run by a person named Banana Bread who does assets for VRchat. Kind of does like speakers and CDJs and shit nowadays. He's very talented and he's a very long time friend of mine. And he basically ran 2 or 3 events called BB Club or BB Festival. And that was basically my first experience, and that's where I befriended 3 people that have become vital when it comes to me as a DJ and a performer. That being Trivy, Miss Stabby, and then 10XX. And my first set was around January 2023. So I got my first controller around November 2022, and then I did my first set at January 2023 or February 2023. I can't remember. I still have the set somewhere, and it was riddled with technical difficulties. It just basically was a disaster fest, and basically it just kind of traumatized me in ways that it kind of has shaped me to be a very much more of a control freak when it comes to like performances. Like a lot of times, like I'm a little bit more kind of like I like to make sure of things. It's like, you know, sort of like trust but verify. And it's like do you have the correct link? Is this the right link? Do you have my link ready? Shit like that. And like, do I have all my settings correct? I do like all my sort of like pre-flight checks, if you will, of like every time I do a set. But I recently actually looked into this set and just kind of realized how much garbage I was. I was horrible. Back then, I genuinely was horrible because I didn't even know how to make a proper transition. And at the time, it was only like a Quest-friendly set, like where it was like through voice meter, like not even through a VRCDN. And for a while, I didn't get my first like sort of streamed set, if you will, like PCVR streamed set until September 2023. And that's where I kind of believe I really got my shit together as an artist. And I would say like over the years, I have definitely improved. I just recently actually debuted a set that I played at Sanctum, at the Sanctum Chapel event. That took place literally a year ago, and like looking back at it, it has really aged quite well because of I can definitely see the development. I can still see how I do certain things to this day, and back then I was a lot less complex with my mixing than I am with nowadays. Like back then, I used to average like 20 songs per set, because I do write my set lists and I do rehearse them because I care about quality. And nowadays I average like 40 to 60 songs per set. So the change was good, but like the older sets, like prior, like the early like 2023 ones, they're really bad. And so far, like nobody except like my closest friends have heard these sets, and they're like so bad. They are really bad, and they will never see the light of day. They will never be published.
So
Batz, I got one line, if I can slide in again. Okay, if you had somebody out of the blue come up to you and watched your set and everything else like this, and they ask a little bit of advice from you, what would you give them?
Advice as a DJ?
Yeah, doing what you're doing and stuff like this, what advice would you get for being a DJ?
Definitely consistency is key. Practice makes perfect. And for the love of God, don't become a Spotify DJ. Like when I say that, I mean basically play a song from start to finish, and then right as it finishes, you just fade it out and play the next song. Because I truly believe that those types of DJing really does not take any talent nor effort. Because a lot of times, like when I do stuff, I load up. I use all four. I have like a 4-channel setup, and I use all 4 of them a lot of the times. Sometimes it's not for my best good, but I always push myself to perform as best as possible. And even then, like you don't have to perform at that low sort of like extreme intensity. You can like just do 2-channel DJing just as fine. Just know some basic transitions and know how to go from one track to another, and also know your song selection well. That's basically it. That's like my advice when it comes to DJing as a skill. So yeah.
Okay.
So from these their horrible first sets and beginning sets, what about those experiences made you want to continue if they were so bad? And what kinds of things did you do at that time to improve?
Well, first of all, learn how to properly transition, how to make transitions.
Well, yeah.
Second of all, kind of made my sets a lot more structured. Kind of like not just going like, oh, this song is metal step at 150 BPM. This one is synthwave. This one is straight up fucking metalcore. This one is straight up drum and bass. And then it's just like this jibber jabber sort of like fucking like mess, if you will. And I believe that structure really adds to a lot of things. And a lot of times I try to like section things off into different sets. Like if you notice, I'll have like a drum and bass section. Like if you've heard my sets before, I have a drum and bass section, and I have like a complextor section. Then I maybe have like a glitch hop section if I find myself a little bit brave. And I kind of do believe like sections and stuff like that. Even it doesn't have to like be like smooth transitions if you're gonna sectionize like your sets. If you can make a smooth transition out of it, absolutely go for it. But like it doesn't have to be a necessity. But that sort of like sectioning, if you're gonna do multiple genres or like multiple vibes, even like let's say if I'm sticking with just a drum and bass set, I start with a dance floor thing, then I go into more the jump uppy stuff, and then I go into the pure like violent like neurofunk, and then sort of like have like a resolve at the end with like my stuff is a very much like I would say is that I added a lot of structure over the years and kind of a journey through my sets, like sort of like it starts somewhere and it's a journey through music. And I want it to basically end with a resolve, like it's sort of like an ending. It's like a movie. You don't like, like you watch a movie and you cut it up into different bits and pieces and you rearrange them. You kind of have to have a flow to it. It's sort of like a direction, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Because otherwise, it's just going to be very difficult for a listener to kind of enjoy it.
And what about those first sets made you want to keep going DJing if you have that opinion of them now?
I guess the fact that I knew that I could do better. And also the fact that I kind of had people pushing me on to improve. Like I've I had a few people telling me it's like this is really bad. Respectfully, like this is garbage. And I'm very grateful for those friends for actually telling me this, because if I didn't have like people kind of telling me like, hey, this is actually not kind of good, this is really garbage, like I wouldn't really have improved this as much. And I do listen to a lot of feedback, and I do take constructive criticism quite to heart, because I always believe that if you're, even if I know that I'm decent. I know that I can definitely perform a set. However, I always believe as long as you're learning and as long as you kind of find details that you could be improving on, even if it's like just tiny marginals, then you're always developing. And that's kind of like the reason why I wanted to keep going, is kind of like I know I can do better and I know I can develop from this. So.
Okay. So from what it sounds like you were saying earlier, that it was more recently you started focusing on your own stuff, as you said, when you quit the role play scene to focus on yourself. When did you start producing music, and what was the reason you decided to produce on top of DJ?
Well, kind of like as I said earlier regarding like wanting to do my own stuff, but I started producing. I would say like the first time I picked up, I've messed around with DAWs like FL Studio, Ableton, Reaper, Logic Pro. Yes, I fucking used Reaper. I know some folks are gonna hate that shit. Fucking sue me, but I originally kind of made this conclusion that DJing, if a lot of like DJs, like if you want to be successful, like I wanted to make it like in the IRL scene. I didn't want to just do shit in VR. And if you want to be a successful like DJ, and if you wanted to kind of get more shows, especially for someone as me who really lives off the grid, like the drum and bass scene where I live is dead in the fucking water. Like there's no interest in drum and bass, like in the slightest. Like there's just nothing going on. There is one event in my hometown that's currently showing up. That's the first time in literally like half a decade.
Oh wow!
So it kind of gives you an idea, and it's not even a dedicated drum and bass event. So if I wanted to start doing IRL shows, I had to start producing music, because why the hell should you book a random Swedish resident DJ all the way down in fucking Amsterdam, or let alone the UK where the scene is really big, when you can just book a local DJ and does the same thing? So that's kind of like the main thing that pushed me to consider it. And then I started learning FL Studio like really like intensively around, I would say, like March, April. And that's like when I got my hands on a license, and I basically learned from guidance of mainly two people that I credit to, and one of them is Guileless, and the other one is Bolt Action, and they're both cool people, and they helped me out in a lot of ways, and especially just as a producer, but also like as an artist, because I could trust, like if I sent something to them, I could trust that they'll give me feedback. Like they're not afraid to tell me it's bad, basically.
Okay.
So that's kind of like how it came around, and I've been since then, like I've been using FL Studio now for just about a year now.
Oh wow. So I have another question as well. When you were DJing and mixing your sets before you started producing, and now how you structured your sets changed when you perform your own music, or is it the same in between?
It's the same.
Okay.
It's pretty much the same. I mean, it's just songs, really. What it has changed, how music production has affected DJing quite a bit, is that I would end up making a lot of edits in songs. So basically, I now, because I have music production like skills, I can actually take a song and I can, for example, rearrange them, or I can like master them in different ways. And then especially, it's helpful when you have the actual stem files of a song, which I've collected over the years. And generally, it's very satisfying to play your own stuff, and you kind of see like the reaction that you're like seeing in the crowd. Like I have like an EP coming up, like a boot. I have two EPs coming up actually. One of them being a bootleg EP, where it's just like unofficial releases, if you will, that I'll throw up on SoundCloud, maybe Bandcamp if I figure that shit out, because I'm really bad with websites. And I have like an actual EP that I want to push to record labels before I potentially decide to release them myself. So, yeah. And it's just...
Ooh.
Sorry.
No, you continue.
No, I just wanted to add. And it's just like, that's kind of also like, I'm like more motivated to release the music myself. Like, just kind of make this own music, because like seeing people enjoy what you create, while it's a weird feeling to play your own fucking music, and I absolutely hate doing it, I can't listen to my own music. It is still an awesome feeling to know that people are enjoying it and they're dancing to it.
So, how much music have you made and produced since you started doing your own stuff? And where do you get your inspiration for the tracks you make?
Like from like how many songs so far?
Yes. Like, how much have you released and where do you get your inspiration for the tracks?
Oh boy. So I've released the Batz mashups and edits volume 1, and that had 4 tracks. I have released 2 official tracks, Red Alert, which actually was released with Baptism, and that one was a bit of a success because it was like one of the best performing tracks of Baptism at the time. I'm not sure if that's still the case. But it smashed a lot of like the other songs that have been like released by Baptism prior, and also like charted on Hyped, which was like an amazing experience, and especially was very fun because I worked with Green Elixir at the time, who made the song with me, and I was able to bring my music, like my instrument skills, into it as well, like with guitar playing and bass playing. And the second song that I released is another one called Ghost, which is a remix of Tatsu Track's song, which is also Ghost. And it's just a drum and bass remix that I did in sort of like in a tribute to one of my first IRL sets, which was in Amsterdam in September. And yeah, that was pretty much probably the only time I will ever put a Grown Tube sample into a official released song. It was that was a whole thing. But as of right now, with the official release, I currently have 3 tracks that I'm sitting on with the official release, and some of them I have already like had playing a few times. Like some of them are playable in sets, and then I have for the volume 2 mashups and edits EP, I have 6 songs. So if we do some basic math, 6 plus 3 is 9, plus 2 is 11, plus 4 is 15. So 15 songs in total.
Oh. And what were the inspirations behind your tracks you've made so far, especially the Grown Tube? I remember you showed me that before.
Hold on. Wait. I'll give you my inspiration. All right, I got you.
You have a Grown Tube.
Oh God! Wow.
I almost pulled that up in Rob Roman's like VRCDJ live. I was like, I had it next to me. I was so tempted. I was like, But a lot. I drag a lot of inspiration. But I would have to say, when it comes to my drum and bass, it's a mixture between Shock One, Pendulum, The Prodigy, and Muzz, and especially Pendulum. Pendulum has been one of those bands that have been really driving me to a point I have even started a tribute project, which is another like work in progress. And that is like a bunch of other songs that I'm working on, but I wouldn't count them because they're not mine. But you know, those are basically my main like inspirations.
Oh wow!
I would say.
So, when you decide to do one of your tracks, how would you start structuring and creating them? Do you just kind of go in with an idea, or do you go in blind and just kind of figure it out on the way?
Like how I start a project?
Yeah, like if you like so some of the songs you've made so far, did you just go in blind, just kind of figure it out, or did you go in with some idea prior to going into it?
Well, it varies. But the original songs. So when it comes to remixes, I kind of like most of the remixes I've done, I kind of got them from after like listening to other people's sets, and I was like, this song's kind of cool. What if I remix this kind of thing? And then I fucking about 20 hours for 30, 40 hours later, you'll end up with a track. But with original ones, it kind of can vary. It could be like a specific drum sound that I like, or it could be even a sort of like, could be a rhythm. But mainly, a lot of times, it's either a sample or it's a synth patch that I made. Like there's one that I'm sitting on, that is basically a recreation of the lead synth of Prodigy's "Invaders Must Die," and I could probably send you a sample of that, which is pretty sweet. I kind of have to see if I still have the exports of it because I recently had a massive data loss, and I lost like 4 terabytes of like fucking data because I had everything stored to an M.2. So as of right now, I'm kind of not producing as much right now. So I've been mainly just trying to recover a bunch of shit right now. It's been a little bit of a nightmare such a situation the past like 2 days, but I'll see if I have the patches and I can probably send them to you. But it varies where I get like my inspirations. It can be like a synth or that I made, or just a sample that I find. Sometimes even just a vocal line, or like even from a movie. There's one there's one song I never finished it, which basically is inspired by the original Halloween film.
Oh wow!
And it's just like a sound bit from the movie. So it's like a vocal line. It's like a lot of fun with that kind of shit.
Okay. And I'm sorry for the data loss. I'm sure that was very devastating.
Yeah, it is. I'm over.
Oh. Sorry, folks. Looks like I'm lagging. I apologize for the inconvenience. Don't crash VRchat. Please don't do it.
Also the drummer from Pendulum. He kind of sent today a pretty like, I guess, heartwarming message, and was like, at the
Oh, there we go.
Oh, you thought you were here for e-girls? You thought f***ing wrong. You're here for Hash Studios. Sick of tools that break more than they work? Or needing a computer science degree just to make an image show up in Unity? Worry no more. At Hash Studios, we have prefabs for everything you need. Megaphones for those world-shaking announcements, pop-up menus to keep out the less fashionable avatars from your club, and a band menu that lets you handle any unwanted guests. Hash Studios prefabs, available now on Gumroad, Booth, Jinxie, and PayHip. Get yours, or live with regret. Ooh. I hate that. I actually want to die.
I died. I'm sorry. We're cutting this together. Sorry, Future Lion. I apologize.
You know what's funny?
Yeah?
Oh, the camera's fucked. Yes, hello. Legs. Free feet.
Hey, baby, yeah, check out the legs. Here we go. Goddamn perverted camera. Oh, sorry.
Dude, I really wonder sometimes what my neighbors think when they hear me through the fucking walls.
Probably, like most people, thank God I've got brick walls and I live my own house, but I can imagine with the door being open.
Well, I have brick walls. I have the brick walls, but still, I hear my neighbors.
Mm-hmm. But my daughter will come out and go, God, would you shut up? Because she could hear it in there, and yeah, my daughter, yeah, she's right next door, and I'm out in the living room, and she goes, would you just shut up? I go, what am I doing wrong? You're annoying as hell. I can't hear what I'm doing because they're hearing me cocking through their system. It's funny. Yeah.
Look, this is exactly why I live alone nowadays. But
well, I got two kids. That's a little hard to do. So yeah, it's just the way it goes.
I will never have children. Never in my lifetime. No.
Oh, you don't want to have one of your own walking around going, "That's my."
I'm driving on a have fucking crotch goblins fucking up my shit. Let's just say.
Crotch goblins. Little bastards get out all the time, but hey, it's good. Once they're gone, they're gone.
Am I wrong?
They don't come
Am
back.
I wrong? They're crotch
Goblins, yeah, nobody wants those. I gotcha.
like if my point gets proven every time like I would go out of town, I would just go outside and I see a fucking kid going just fucking screaming in a stroller of like his life depended on him. But it's funny that the crash happened because literally, I'm not even joking, we for the first time with VRCDJ Live, when I was on that episode, that was the first time they had a crash. So I'm like, I see the scuffness, the whole definition of scuff joke with me is following me around. So
The funny thing
I
is,
see.
So it's his fault. Yeah,
Yes.
he just passed the buck to you. God, I hope I'm not.
yeah, definitely it's Battle's fault that my
No.
computer crashed, and I definitely don't have a 5-year-old computer. It's
It was all
definitely
me. It was all me. It was all me. All right.
Believe in me. You are next on my list. I hope not. I don't need a crash, please.
So I will ask this then, getting back in the conversation, what have been some sets or performances you've done that have stuck with you, that sit with you favorably, that you've done over the years, whether real life or VR chat?
My first ever set, and then Sanctum and Baptism. Short answer.
Oh wow.
So mainly those. Baptism was special because at the time I got the offer after I played at Sanctum because Bobby J heard me play at the event, and he basically just offered me a slot. And what's even best was at the time I was able to do it with Omega Soul, which is a VJ that I work with quite a lot. Yeah, it is like those two are like my favorite VR ones, and then just the whole set in Amsterdam, because like that was like a out of body like experience. Like I was just I was over the moon. It was like definitely like one of my happiest moments in my life. Like I've been doing this shit now for. I'm trying not to get like, oh, I'm a fucking crying little bitch. I'm so awesome. But like I've been doing this shit now for 2 years, and like just Batz project as a whole, and I never would have thought like that I actually would come to a point where I would get IRL offers would be like a thing. Like I've worked a lot. I've put blood, sweat, tears into this whole ordeal, and been given this opportunity that Four Season has, which is what the event was called. I'm like incredibly grateful, and I've made some friends there that I absolutely love, and just kind of being able to do that just really is like the reason why I keep going. And having people that have actually heard me play VR, or like even having never heard me play before, and just kind of having them face to face with me, and just kind of like seeing their faces in person while I'm performing, that is like something that I cannot like compare with anything else. And I'm forever grateful for that. So I'll say, like, if I have to choose one, it has to be that set.
Okay.
Oh, and I cried like a fucking baby. I was like so ecstatic.
Oh, what was
I was very happy.
I'm sure. What was the experience playing live like for the first time over in Amsterdam, and how was the experience different from like Baptism or any of the places you play here?
Well, first of all, no delays. Yeah, no delays, exactly. But I would say like you get a lot more. Like while I try to, I've been like I try to something that I've like been known for, I guess, or have been said a lot, is that I'm very interactive with a crowd, and kind of like that interaction, like where I would like you know, I had moments with like in that set, like where I would somebody would like reach out his hands, and I would take their hands, I would scream the lyrics with them, and like having that sort of like moments. You can't get that sort of thing in VR. You cannot, like, with VR you have the visuals, you have the sound, but you don't have the direct senses. You don't feel the bass of like, you don't feel the bass like trembling like your whole body. You don't feel the heat that's like in the venue. And also, if I say this, like the ventilation was really bad in Four Seasons, so it was like on a stage, it was hot. It was damn hot. Like I saw some dudes like during my set. I saw some folks that went like into the back exit, and they were literally just like this, or they were like this, and I was fucking sad because I wanted to go outside while I was like doing the set. But you know, it like all that considered, like that adrenaline that you get, it's just like, yeah, it's not comparable. It really isn't comparable. Like while VR is great, it's a whole different type of beast. And I'm looking forward to playing multiple. Like I have a few shows coming up, which I'm super excited about, and the first one in my hometown, which I'm really, really proud of.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, that is going to be a really big deal for me. So it's going to be interesting playing for a Swedish crowd for once and not having to speak English.
Oh, well, I hope it goes off without a hitch.
Yeah, no
Hell yeah.
doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, I literally was talking to the organizers today, so it was it keeps riling my excitement up.
So with some of those, like the organizers you're mentioning now, or over at the Four Seasons, did you ever have the conversation about what you're doing here in VR, or did you just kind of tell them I'm a producer and stuff like that?
Well, they offered me first. So all the bookings that I currently have upcoming that are potentially in the talks, I have never reached out to any IRL bookings apart from the Swedish one that I'm doing, and that's because I saw like an ad because they were a little bit unsure on who they want to book, and I was just like, hey, I exist, I live here, here's my stuff, here are my merits, and like here's like, I sent them like my whole shebang, and I like after 2-3 months I got a response like, all right, you got the gig. But like otherwise I've never like people have booked me because they reached out to me.
Oh, wow. Oh.
So yeah, I've been pretty lucky in those regards.
Well, congratulations, by the way.
Yeah, no doubt.
Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
Oh. So with that said, after I heard of your entire history of so far, how do you feel looking back at the journey you've been on as you put on the plastic potato attached to your face right now?
I don't know how to feel about that.
Well, there you go. I don't want to do that. I'll probably fall down and go boom. No, I'm not old man grouchiness.
These goddamn kids are my lawn.
Yeah. Get off my lawn. I know I'm in a parking lot. Yeah, this is my square. Go get your own.
Bro, I had a moment. With fucking. You just made me remember a time. This is not related at all, but if I may share a little story.
Go right ahead. Yeah, we're all ears. I want to hear this.
It was Halloween. I was a teenage idiot at the time, and we had some kids over at my at the time when I lived like in a house with my parents, and they decided for the Halloween, the previous Halloween, they decided to vandalize the little cat house that we had for like outdoor cat that we had in case like it was winter and it was snowing and like they need warmth, they got shelter. And they vandalized that thing, and I decided for the next Halloween I woke up with wanting to burn, wanting the world to burn. And basically what I did is I traumatized the same kids that did that shit to our little cat house by standing outside waiting for the kids because there was like a little window, waiting for the kids to show up to trick or treat. And instead of me waiting out like inside with the candy, I was waiting with a chainsaw with the chain removed. And the second they fucking stood up, got up close, I barged through the fucking door. And I started fucking chasing them down the fucking yard. Some of their fucking one of them dropped everything they had and they just scattered all over the fucking yard. Just gone. They never fucking went trick-or-treating to our house ever again, and probably for the better, because God forbid these goddamn kids, as they say.
You saying that reminded me of a story as well. Down when I was a kid, or a few yards down from where I grew up at the time, there was this house that really, really enjoyed doing haunted houses style stuff. And so every year they would deck out the yards and stuff, and the father would find new ways to scare the kids. And he'd enjoy himself because people would purposely go to his house in order to be scared. There's this one day I didn't hear word that they were doing anything again, so we're just kind of trick-or-treating around. And then I heard the chainsaw noise come down, and it's this kid running terrified, screaming as this grown adult is chasing him down the road with a chainsaw removed. And I was like, oh, they are going again this year. There are the kids.
You see, that is... You know what they say, sometimes they just gotta learn, teach them young of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's I truly believe in childhood trauma.
Oh my God!
You heard it here. Clip it, spread it. It's yours.
Yeah, this is the shit that's gonna get me canceled.
So
coming as someone
I got a question. You ever thought of when you're doing your mix to actually put a chainsaw or a weed eater motor?
I've done that.
I've done that.
I have done that, especially with so I do love Halloween. Halloween is my favorite season, and every single time I do sort of like a Halloween set or like a Halloween set cycle, I make a whole avatar themed around it. I make the whole visuals. I make a whole dedicated set just around that. And once I'm done with that, I'll delete everything. And the reason why I do that is because I want it to every year I want it to be something different and I want it to be something fresh. And I don't want to reuse shit that I've made in the past. So this year this year I had a like with last Halloween I did a whole like, have you guys ever seen the movie American Psycho?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, the scene where the dude fucking kills the other person with an axe. It's like he's like this fine tune. It's like the whole album has a fine, refined tune that makes the something a cut above the rest. Like, and then just proceeds to beat the shit out of him with a fucking fire axe. That was the theme that year. One of the things is I basically, there's a clip on my Twitter somewhere where I axed Omega Soul all the way down. We whole rehearsed the whole fucking like little skit that we did.
Wow.
Last 2023 one was a Chainsaw Massacre themed. And so I had some Doom chainsaw samples going for that one. So that was pretty cool. And because it's like 2 years ago, and I kind of like felt it was a little bit garbage, and I can do better. I'm debating maybe I should bring it back because it was pretty cool. It was really cool. So like that's also a thing is that Mick Gordon as a producer, just for the audience sake, Mick Gordon is the person that composed the music for Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, and the way he did things when it comes to music production is genuinely just absolutely unfathomable. Some of the ways he's done shit with his guitar, with synths, it's just kind of like insane. Like he made like a whole like speech about it. Like he had like a whole sort of like panel speech, sort of like I guess a TED talk, if you will, where he was like talking about like using like fucking tape recorders to get like really gnarly like guitar tracks. It's like insane. Like kind of get like I could rant about Mick Gordon's music production all day, but we'll be fucking sitting here until tomorrow if we were doing this. But like that's also like one of the things that inspired me when it comes to some of the music production stuff, especially with Red Alert, the way I recorded the guitars.
Ooh, okay. So did you get take some tips and tricks from Gordon there in your own music production then?
Yes, I
Ooh,
still do to this day.
oh wow. Well, so I have another random question for you as well. When learning to DJ and music produce, what have been some of the more tougher things for you to pick up, and how did you overcome that problem?
Can you run me the question again? Sorry,
Ah.
you spoke very fast.
So I apologize. What are some of the tougher things for you to learn learning to DJ and produce music, and how did you overcome the problem?
Uh, well, DJing has to be definitely song selection and general like just the art of doubling and like kind of like have this sort of like intensity that I have nowadays. That's definitely has been one of the hardest things to do, kind of especially learning how to do it with a giant fucking toaster on my strapped to my face and with controllers on my hands and doing it blindly most of the time. Well, I have a little slit that I look through sometimes, but most of the time I just rely on an OVR 2-kit overlay.
Mm.
But the thing with that one is that I that probably has like, well, all that combined has been like the most hardest thing to do. And when it comes to producing, definitely mixing and mastering, because it is like such like when it comes to mixing and mastering, there are tricks. There's endless amounts of tricks that you can learn, and the issue with mixing and mastering, while there are some certain rules within it,
Mm.
there is no right or wrong way of doing it.
Mm.
As long as the outcome is good, there's not really the right or wrong way to do it. There's worse and better ways to doing it. And basically, you have to kind of figure out your own workflow, and you have to sort of like kind of find like what's best for you, and especially do it with the tools that you have readily available, because plugins and VSTs can be very expensive. They can cost you a fortune. For example, a simple synth, Serum, for example, a very popular synth, has been used over the years, has been is like widely used in almost like goddamn every single like EDM producer in the goddamn planet. $200
Damn.
just for that synth plugin alone. I mean, there's like payment options, but that's besides the point. But it gives you an idea how expensive shit can get, and then not to mention licensing and whatnot.
Mm.
And but yeah, back on track with mixing. Depends really what tools you have available. It depends on your like. It depends on your ears, your listening skills, like stuff that you really need to like battle, sort of like have like this internal battle of like listening to like your song over and over again without getting ear fatigue, which is a whole thing. I'm not sure if you know what that is.
I
But,
don't. What is ear fatigue?
Ear fatigue is when you basically it is sort of like a thing that you deal as a producer. It's sort of like when you listen to your song all the fucking time, and regardless of what you do, it's gonna sound like shit when you're struggling with ear fatigue.
Mm.
And basically, the only way to deal with it is taking breaks, which sucks. You kind of have to take breaks. Ear fatigue can basically just also lead to several things, such as burnout if you're not aware of ear fatigue, like of your ear fatigue as much. It's generally just like an internal struggle, really, if that makes sense.
No, that makes
Because
sense.
the hardest person to I would say the hardest person that is the hardest to how do you say it in English? Basically, to convince that the song is good is yourself, and that's already difficult because it's very rare that you actually like your own music.
Mm.
So there's that.
Okay. So how have you ever reached burnout like that before? May I ask?
just wanted to take a sip real quick. Yes, I have a few times, and a lot of times the way I deal with it is usually I start other like sort of fun side projects, and a lot of times they're just remixes or they're just absolute fucking brain rot. Like I think we've sat in calls and I showed you some of that stuff, like some
Yeah.
like one of it being a fucking like the song Ecstasy, but the fucking synth is replaced with a groan tube, or it's the ooh ee ah cat, or it's the fucking it's just like a random song that should not be remixed into a drum and bass track, and it's kind of like stuff like that, really. And that's the way how you deal with like not burning yourself out over projects.
Okay. Well, thank you for explaining that. It's very much appreciated. And so, something based on some of the things you mentioned, like, for example, your Halloween tracks or the grown tube thing, how many inserts into your song or sets have you done, and what are some of your favorite, like, scene inserts or sound inserts in between tracks or in tracks?
Sort of like samples, or
Samples or, like, intros, because I remember you, during one of our calls, you were mentioning some of the intros you were doing. As an example.
Probably my favorite one is, because I made visuals for that one, is this was around February and March. I had a set cycle going where I had where it was the song Delta Heavy. It was the song Ecstasy by Delta Heavy. And I replaced the fucking like main synth. It's like a 4-on-4 like techno, like sort of thing. And I replaced that synth with a groan tube. It was just and then I just to add to that, I was like, well, this makes no fucking sense. This is stupid. How could I add to this? I know. I'll make a visual of a fucking rat, holding a groan tube and then flipping it with the song. And it's like time coded and everything. And yeah, that probably has been like the funniest one that I've done, but there've been other good ones. Number one has to be this one is dedicated to the community that I sometimes host for, called Wyvern. And a friend of mine, basically that made the poster, decided to throw in an E into the poster, because I say E all the fucking time anytime I start a conversation. Like if I DM you, the first message is always fucking E. And just to fuck with him, I had a Windows XP like error sound, and then I had a blue screen of death. And instead of like the sad face, it's just a fucking E. And the caption says like, next time don't put an E on your Wyvern poster. Here's like a code. Just kidding. Try something else. Maybe Bing. Try search on Bing or some shit like that. That's probably like the two good ones. Anytime there's visuals involved, that's like the gooder ones. And then of course, like when friends are involved, like the shitty intro where my friend is crashing the fuck out while he's drunk.
Oh.
But I believe like it adds, like while I take the stuff serious, like that I do, like I put a lot of time and effort into my craft. I still do say that I like to break that seriousness up with that unexpected meme or two that I throw in sometime. But yeah.
Oh, it is important sometimes to put some fun into the things you treat very seriously. As you said, don't burn yourself out with straight work all the time.
I mean, most definitely. I mean, it's still work, but it's different kind of work.
Yeah.
It's just work that I'll fucking will be just screaming at my screen, like at my PC screen out for a while, and just fucking piss myself laughing for the next like 20 minutes, and then I'll be, all right, export. I'll use this at some point, and then I'll eventually like show up in one of my crates. Like,
Cool. So I have another question I'll ask you as well. What kind of software and hardware do you use, and how did you attain those tools over time?
for DJing or just production?
Yes.
Oh, God.
No, that doesn't really answer my question.
Yes is the
Yeah,
answer.
yes is the answer. That's his. Yeah, that's just the way he.
A little bit of both. Because
So with DJing, hardware-wise, I use a Hercules Impulse 500. Software, I used Virtual DJ, but then also Serato. When it comes to when it comes to music production, it is my main DAW is FL Studio, and I just about use around 200 plugins or so, or
wow.
200 like internal like software plugins, and I don't think I can name every single one of them, but main endorsement ones is definitely Serum, synths, EQ wise, and then also the, I guess something, I forgot the name of it, something lab, but basically they do like a very good EQ that I use. They use a lot of compressors, like they make amazing stuff, and then also like the main EQ that I use is called the Pro Q3. And then I also use a lot of Kiloheart stuff. Kiloheart's basically also being like doing samples and presets and shit for a synth called Phase Plant, but then there's also like smaller synths or like smaller plugins that are completely free, like distortion effect, like just effects plugin, like distortion, clippers, compressors that are completely free, and anyone else can download them, and I really appreciate them for that because it's hard to find free software, especially in music production.
So with all these various plugins, tools, and hardware you're using, how did you find out about them? Why did you start using them initially?
Mainly after reading about them or by pure recommendation. That's mainly. So, for example, the Pro Q3, I learned it for the first time from KJ Saka. He recommended that one to me because it's a very surgical sort of equalizer that you can work with, and it's basically just my main like EQ. I don't use any other EQ really. I just don't. It's just bulletproof. It's like a must-have for every producer, in my opinion. And then like certain stuff like Kilohertz that I read about, and like it's just simply put, you sign up for an account, and then you get like 10 to 20 like fucking effects plugins. It's like mainly lots of forums and just word of mouth really, and then just like a lot of like producer circles, like Discord servers or Instagram groups, or yeah, stuff like that.
Okay. Well, thank you for explaining that. So
You.
after all this conversation, looking back at the journey you've been on, how do you feel looking back at everything from when you first put on the headset?
Well, that's good. Okay.
All right. Damn. That is a charged question. God damn.
Went for the juggler, folks.
I mean, the fuck was that?
Nothing. I just ran with it.
Hey, fair enough. But
Whoops.
whoopsies. Whoopee.
Whoopee.
He's
Never gonna get this. He's never gonna get the answer if I keep fucking talking to him, making stupid sound effects. He's gonna look
The
at me
Fitness Gram Pacer test is a multi-stage aerobic capacity test which progressively gets
God.
more difficult as it continues.
Oh,
The test is
Jesus.
conspired to test the student's fitness gram. When you will start running, you will run as fast as you can. I'm now going to fucking stop. The answer of my question, of this question, is generally just when I look back at it, I'm very happy with it because DJing and just generally making music has kept me clean from addiction problems that I've had in the past and that I really do not want to get into. But I used to struggle with severe substance abuse, and I basically I attribute like my sort of success, if you will, in the scene at least. I would attribute that to basically to that factor of like basically being the reason of me currently being sober for the past like 2 years. And I truly like it has given me purpose in life back then when I really didn't have much purpose. Like I felt that I didn't have much purpose at the time, and I truly do believe that it has been it's been one of those contributing factors that it has done nothing but positive things in my life, and it has made certain things that I wanted to do for a long time. They made dreams come true, and I'm very grateful for that. I'm very grateful for everyone that has also supported me over the years, and people that just have been very had me pushing on when I've been down, just have been trying to keep me going, if you will. Even like in like especially like with the data loss that I have had, as I mentioned earlier before, like this whole ordeal, I've been met with nothing but support and positivity in those regards. Even that, like what I tried to say earlier, with before when you crashed, where KJ kind of messaged me about it and said like, he shared this experience, like he had like a MacBook of him die, and he literally was like, he could not like get out of bed for a while because he was just distraught of all the progress that has been lost. And because of like the support I've had over the years and of people that just pushed me to keep going, and to get back up on my feet when I fell, I reflected it back to those times, like in everything I did, even not in just in music, but like in community running and all the shit I've done in the past, people supporting me. And I just look back at it as joy and a sense of achievement. And I'm very grateful for that. That VRChat has kind of been a platform for me to, do what I do. Because it's not very, like when I hopped on VRChat for the first time, I never would have expected that it would grow to the scale it is nowadays. Like I started playing VRChat when the average player base was like below 100 people. Look at it now.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, quite literally. Like you look at the Steam charts, and like you just see the fucking, just like, and like even then the Steam charts are not even like the full numbers. Like because like it doesn't account for all the quest users. And as much people want to complain. It's like, then the quest users is just because of questers, there's fucking kids everywhere in public lobbies in the Black Cat and shit and fucking. It's like even all that considered, it has done good things for VR. Like it's not just the negatives. It's easier to look at the negatives of what the addition of Quest 2 has done to VR, and it's generally like it's in general, like if you look at the news nowadays, like most of the news, like you don't when is the last time you saw a news entry that was positive? People like to focus more on the negative side of things. And while there is a lot of like I said before, like when you asked me the question of like what is like the most like negative experience, or like what's like the more crazy, the weirdest experience, pardon me, like where that I've ever experienced, and I have like said, like it's not something I want to focus on, the more fucked up shit. I do believe it's very important that just as an individual I focus on, and in general I would say is like it's important that you should focus on the diamonds and the rubble and always on the positive side of things, because VRChat can be a game, it can be a tool, it can be a platform, it can be basically anything you want it to be. And I'm very proud of the developers, and I'm very proud of the community, and I'm generally just very proud of what it has become over the years. And I'm very proud of what I have done over those years. Not all of it, but I have my moments.
Well, on the questies, one thing I've heard from, well, Raptor and I both have heard from so many people is the encouragement the community has offered and the amount that people have been able to achieve by knowing people around them. And I think people in VRChat as we grow should offer those same questies, those same opportunities. Because as you said before, outside of VRChat and news and shit, it's just atrocious. But at least here, it's hopefully they'll learn to DJ or produce music versus what's the alternative.
I mean, I've seen very dedicated Quest DJs that I've seen perform in VR. I don't know how they do that, and I don't know how they run their setup, but I do believe like if you have it's difficult as a Quest user to get around VR chat because you don't have access to the full game, which is just a factor. And especially like back then, my first headset was a Quest, and then 2 months later, because I fell in love with VR, I was for like since 2017 to like late 2020, I was stuck on desktop, and like I was just so amazed with it that I just literally put down like $2,000. That was like at the time I was actually quite well off, and I just bought myself an Index with 3.0 trackers. And I do like I understand how limited like having that insight at the time, and I'm sure it has gotten better over the years, but like at the time Quest was like so funneled. There was like so little available for Quest. And I think if you have enough dedication, and you have enough motivation, and you have the courage, I do believe you can overcome any obstacle if you're willing to, and if you're dedicated enough to do it. That is literally exactly why Batz project exists. It's because I got sick of not getting anywhere, basically just kind of been stuck in this endless loop, if you will, like with the band days.
Wow. Cool. So, what has been some of the most encouraging mentors, there's what I was looking for, in you during those times and now, with what you do, DJing, production?
Like just music in general, or
both with the skills you've developed over time. What have been some mentors or things that people have said to you that help refine your skill, I guess, or with what you do?
So right now I would say KJ Saka. Being under his mentorship has been probably one of the best things that has happened to me, and it's something that I truly appreciate. And especially like the help that I got from Bolt Action and Guileless to get started, because without these two motherfuckers, I would have not. I don't give them enough credit. I'll say that right now. Like they've helped me a lot, like in the start, because back then with FL, it's like I had not a clue, like what I was doing. Nowadays, everything feels pretty natural. Like when I open up, I have like dedicated like just folders where I can just like throw shit together in like 5 minutes. But like back then, like just to do like a simple like drum loop took me like 10 minutes. Now it takes me like what, like a minute. So like I do say Guileless and Bolt Action back then, they have been amazing mentors. When it comes to DJing, I would say Trivy and Miss Stabby. They've both given feedbacks in the past, like how I should improve on things, and I do appreciate them a lot for it.
Wow. Well, thank you for explaining that, and we'll ask the last couple of questions before we start wrapping up. First of which is the name used in VRChat, where to come from and why to use it. Same thing with Batz Project.
Well, Battle Cow?
Both Batz Project
Battle
and
Cow. Well, Battle Cow has been a thing that's sort of like I adopted Battle Cow like fuck. When did I adopt that shit? But it is something that I adopted like like 13 years ago or some shit.
Oh wow.
Because for a while, I used to have my name used to be Yerkau, which is basically my first initial, and it was a problem when I learned English at the time. I was like 10 years old when I made that name, and I realized that it spelled out jerk, which is not really which is not really
name to use.
Optimal. It was not really optimal. I was just like, I probably shouldn't name myself on the internet like that, and I was name myself on the internet like that. What at the time what was my favorite like game that I was playing at the time? Start digging through the fucking PC
CDs and shit with like downloadable games. Battlefield 2. All right. Battle Cow. That's kind of how it came.
Okay.
And then like from there on out, I just kind of used it. Batz project kind of was an accidental thing, I guess. So I used to be a graffiti writer. I used to paint walls and used to do murals and shit. And one of the graffiti pieces that was Batz, which basically just was the first 3 letters of Battle Cow, but with a Z next to it. And I basically at the time I used like when I started DJing, I didn't have a logo at the time. When I did my first like linked set, this is like September 2023. I didn't have a logo like of just Battle Cow because at the time I was like, well, what should I go by? Well, Battle Cow, I don't care. It was this very logo. I don't know if you'd seen the camera or whatever, but it's like on my back. And yeah. Ooh. Ooh. But anyways,
I hope they got a good view of that while he's spinning, because it looks like he's in a washer.
All right. I have ADHD. Can you tell?
No, not at all.
No, not at all. No, I don't see what you're talking about. No.
But oh boy. So I was at the time. I used that as a substitute like logo. It's just a graffiti art piece, and it stuck. And I was just like, well, maybe I should like name this music project, Batz. And then after some thinking, I went from Batz. It kind of developed into Batz Project, and that's what I kind of like Batz Project as a whole. And the reason why I don't call myself like people call me like in public when they see me, like they call me Batz, like just when they speak to me and like shit. But it's not something I would consider my name. It's just something that I call like the music project, and sort of like a one-man band, if you will. It's a band with one person in it, and with Batz, it kind of just it's just I wanted to name it something that it is basically whatever the fuck I want it to be. Whatever it is, it's just a side project of mine that became my main thing now. And what turned it to be a substitute thing turned into a something that stuck over the years. And I was like, fuck it. Well, I guess I'll adopt my old graffiti piece name, whatever you want to call it.
Oh, well, thank you for explaining that. And the avatar you're in, where did you get it? Why do you use it? Is there anything about it that means anything to you?
Well, the original. So I've used Rindos for a very long time. I've been a stinky Rindo for a while now, and as much as Rindos are dying and they're getting less and less more common, it is something that I kind of feel reflects me perfectly. It has multiple meanings, and I guess I can sort of stand up more when I kind of show it off. But for example, the original sort of like hoodie was designed by like the whole outfit. Like generally, the original avatar was designed by someone called Lemons. She's an amazing avatar creator that helped me out, and it was like, I could help you make an avatar. And I was like, you don't really have to. It was like, no, fuck you. I'm making you an avatar. And that's basically like the main thing. And you actually can see the if you get the closer camera, you see Lemons' name on my hands.
Oh wow,
and that's like, yeah. So Lemons is on my hands. I have Virtual Dystopia. This is Virtual Dystopia, which is a friends group that I've been part of for many years. That's like the longest surviving friend group I have. And then I have a bunch of logos on my legs, I guess I can stand up on. So here's all like artists and performers that I work with. Omega Soul and Marcy, which I do with all the time. You got Laxity, Azanami or Rach, and you have Trivi. And then on the other side, you have clubs. You have Calibrate, which were one of the people that gave me a shot when a lot of people didn't at the time. Four Seasons, Just Party, kind of those big ones, and then you have Baptism, Sanctum, and Vibrant. And then I'm not sure if you noticed. What else? Yeah, my name is on my shoulders, or like on my arms or whatever. And on the back, above my logo, is a tag, and that is the person who is a longtime friend of mine from Virtual Dystopia. His name is RPM, and he made the original logo. And he's been very grateful enough to kind of like giving me that logo and kind of like just basically it's like it's yours. You can do whatever you want with it, sort of thing. So you know, I have multiple versions of this Rindo. I have a baptism version of it where it's just like red and white. I have a Miss Stabby version, which is a little bit of a tribute, which also has her iconic glasses. She was like, oh, you're doing a little Stabby Rindo? All right, like I'll send you the glasses. I'm like, all right, cool. I actually have a Trivy thing. So Trivy is like dedicated to his whole spiel is the Ina sort of like Ina from that one web series. If you know about it, you're pretty much cool, and you have Trivy's logo in the back, kind of split up, and he has like this blue and yellow shit going on. But yeah, that's basically the whole thing about it. I have some other fun stuff. I have my own guitar that I have modeled after it, and then I have like some other fun stuff like Res glasses and Dead Mouse helmet that I made over like years ago, like a few months ago, I guess. But this was originally made by Lemons, and it was taken over by me after I learned some more Unity skills, Unity and Blender skills. So yeah.
Well,
so that's kind of the whole origin of this fucking Rindo. And I refuse to change base.
Well, thank you very much for explaining all that. It's nice to see the insight of why you represent yourself this way. So thank you very much. And
Yeah,
thank you
I
for your
mean,
time.
it's absolutely. Thank you so fucking much for having me. It's been definitely a pleasure to be on board. It's been a fun experience. It's been a lot more. I'll say this. After doing VRCDJ Live, this is a lot more unscripted, and I really do enjoy the sort of like how should you put this? Like sort of like this kind of like a conversation more like between friends than actually like a recording session. And it really feels more natural, and I do appreciate that. And so I support what you do, what y'all doing, and yeah, keep doing what you do because y'all are fucking cool beans.
Well,
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
And we think you're a very
Appreciate it.
cool bean as well. And
Yes.
for those in the audience who wish to find you and your work and your projects, where can they go?
Yes.
Wow,
you can
it's
find me.
addictive now. We're fucked.
You can
It's stuck there.
You can find a link tree, Battle Cow. I guess I can send you a link in case you want to. Once you upload it, you can put it like in a somewhere.
Yes, please. Feature me. You'll be doing this at 1 a.m, so having the links will be nice.
Yeah, I can send it right after this. But I have a link tree where you can find all the stuff. But otherwise, I just go by Batz Project everywhere. You can find me on Spotify. You can find me on SoundCloud. You can find me on Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram. Fucking, I don't know, Kick. I don't use Kick, but I'm pretty much on every single platform. But listen to my music, I guess, on SoundCloud and Spotify. And yeah, if you want to receive updates on what I do, I'm mostly active on Twitter, but any major stuff goes into other social medias as well. And yeah. I have a Discord server, I guess. I don't know. I never link it anywhere.
Well, again, thank you, Battle Cal, for joining us. And all the links will be there in the description for you to find. If you're on YouTube, you scroll down a bit in the description, hit show more. In the section labeled guest links, it'll be one easy place for you to find. If you're on Spotify, it'll be in the episode description. Same place, same label. And for the question for the audience, we'll ask you this. What was a moment at which you've lost all progress and felt devastated? We've heard Battle Cows here, and I'll share one of mine. I remember there's a couple of times in which Raptor and I were doing podcasts, and during the time where my headset cord was really fucked up, it would disconnect and reconnect. Well, OBS would unconnect my mic every single time. So we did a 2-hour podcast with Individual where my mic was never connected. The whole thing was scrap. So with that said, we'd love to hear your stories. With that said, Mr. Raptor, you know the thing.
You know it. No matter what, if you disconnect or reconnect, like the person over here, knowing that we're in a dark parking lot, can you imagine the things that might just crawl out of the asphalt? And it sure in the hell ain't me because you're thinking it. We'll talk to you later. Have a good one and stay active, but don't play in the dark.
Somebody send new spark plugs.
Oh, my ear itches. Fucking bitch. I need a haircut. Fuck, I can't even get my hat on anymore. Ned, don't you up? It'll be complicated. Up and up. Change the thing made in. And all that comes and tells me, hey, hey, hey. And what than show me the same. And